also President John Dramani Mahama Oba Aban Moses the second coming no or the ensem to Jachrimua the big push agenda and as a big push project omo eguso omo ye no ama Ghana hagina say ya dani bebia into a construction site bebia obehu say ye kwan ye akwan ni ade eno ema so sourcing ehun sem ema roads and highways minister honorable Kwame Agboja munyina omo ho ensem by Ghana Highways Authorities, the fourth estate, released by ensem bebre and the buy. Now, what is currently going on with the big push? No, as we speak now, the Accra Kumasi Highway are part of the big push. No, Juma Koso and the videos bemamo as to where they've gotten to. As we speak now, omo dru achim chebi achim manson kwanta ena omo edru bypass ahodo na ena omo ho said the beya betimi aboa na main road construction no omo etimi aye eti quickly no ye be ko ne akwakohe baby omo ye edru baby omo ne nam emfidi omo use ni ade ye be ko ne akwakohe that short video ye ba ne aba be bobo ho as to how the project is going edru saying na ekọ ye enko video ni emra sisi. Nti achem manson nkwanta ene ekohwe ne se kwan no de omo eguso ebo adwuma etu hwa we no ebeye bypass and na omo wo ho no on your screen you could see the excavators are working and the personnel and I said the adwuma for na nkasa omo wo ho no omo ebo adwuma wo ho you could see say omo eyi kwan ni bi e de ato akiri baabi said the main road itself will be constructed and the achem manson kwanta na wo ho na yen nim say big push agenda yi eno ene kofa nsem bebre e de ba ye say what the current aban and I said the current government omo ekaseti aye about source sourcing say aban dada no omo e de almost 80 to 90% of omo contracts ni nyina akoye source sourcing source sourcing ye chemu a yam biemu so obi amfa ne bid emra da bi yemiem so obi amra se oba be pe contract ni bi ye hwe wani mu ese wo adwuma we wo na betimi aye je ne kokoye we hwe wani mu aje kokoye wo na betimi aye adwuma no na o ma chiche adwuma no e de ama ebi mu hu ne se aye friends and family companies ni bi wo ho aye bie ni 2 months ni ya mo contract. What track records and as our company no won't hear this adwuma no mo enti aban current NDC governments they were talking against that particular source sourcing and no the man ba say see as we speak now aban is also current NDC government almost so source sourcing wo ho ekofa nsem bebre and the ba the updates brem say President John Dramani Mahama were requesting for the fourth estate or more investigations or more no or full reports on no ahwem na osanso share roads and highway ministry led by honorable Kwame Agboja say mumra na monso monfa response to these issues no monfa emra but in all this in the midst of all these niama ekoso nyina eche no adwuma ne de ekoso because President John Dramani Mahama mayeti say some of the projects no ebi wo ho a emergency. I mean, we for Kratabra, we some fan Kratamra, we didn't beba, some people will lie in their tenders. Or more tenders or more bebano, they will lie in it. Now be for quite be asked no my beji jumano, I feel all the more moment yet. But Omwankasa as a ministry and as a bino, or Mushamu who say way bet me a jumano. Pen track records, they know a Juma waiting me near the Jumana mano. The opposition is also saying, said that be some of them created their company somewhere last year September ebi mu kura November ya no mu bi omu company nti eden na mu tire mu a omu esafata se de contract na ede mo omu nti akoye se bebre in the midst of all these adwuma ne de kwa na ekoso ewo ho a tire mu a omu abo adwuma na aduru asen achem manso nkwanta eho na sisi omu aduru a omu etoa adwuma no so with the first phase of the Accra Kumasi highway eno and the screens no so a wo hwe ebi ewo ho no. President John Dramani Mahama na kasa so edin sem atudwa about a 24-hour economy. 24-hour economy no papa yi edin ensem atudwa ewo ho kire mu a omo businesses anase omo enyuma ehye 24-hour economy na ase no enema bebre benefits bebre no mu benya ede free mu ebi ewo ho a ukoyi nema wo porta ebi a ye news ka ene ade ubenya duty free ene ade ebi mu so ho a there's going to be some tax.
Would be among the first to register their companies as 24-hour initiative companies. And there are several incentives you will get. I announced one of them. If you decide to expand your factory and you're bringing plant and equipment, you bring it in duty-free. And so those are some of the incentives for existing businesses that already are running 3 shifts who register on the 24-hour economy. Aside from that, you will have fast-track clearing of all your imports at the port. If you're a 24-hour economy registered business, you would remove your containers within 24 hours of their arriving at the port. So there are several incentives that will be got, but they'll be spelled out, and Parliament will go back to Parliament to approve the incentives, because it's only Parliament that can give some of these waivers and exemptions. And so when we do that, we'll all be clear about what the incentives under it are. The 24-hour economy initiative. Credit to Parliament, they passed the 24-hour authority bill. And so we're in the process of setting up the offices and employing the officers into the authority. They will begin the
President John Dramani Mahama ne didn't some etujano or chiribwa. Mo pesa mo bie mu businesses and mo adwuma no mo bie mu under the 24-hour economy no. Mo sa nipa kuo na adwuma kuo no within 24 hours. Enema bia wo de ba ye bedru port no obeboa ama motimi ayi mo nema enti we good news ewo ema omo a omo pesa omo de omo nyuma ekose 24-hour economy na se and within 24 hours over clear some of them so ebenya duty free ewo ho and ebi so some level of tax exemptions and so ewo ho no mu a aban no ebeboa na monsa aka ni nyina enti eno ne nsamo a President John Dramani Mahama did tujwa concerning a 24-hour economy. Now, as we speak now, 24-hour economy authority bill has been passed. I no chiremo ebemi set it up dwumakuo bi a omo na behwe the regulations concerning 24-hour economy no ehun dwumadie ehun collaborations with other private entities ni nyina ade a 24-hour authority, a 24-hour economy authority omo and ebe akosho omo nsa omo make sure say omo ebe regulate 24-hour economy no ama ne dwumadie no akototen and said there was a call said the President John Dramani Mahama did just said they are going to enjoy some level of exemptions near day etini nyina eka hu bia President John Dramani Mahama ede etudwa enti 24-hour economy ne de mo amadwuma ehyemu no bi no mo atede ne President John Dramani Mahama ebe bakemo kama ewo ho eti yetoa so a na yekọ President John Dramani Mahama na akachi bio okopie mu of France na okopie mu no a lot of people were talking about it ebi mo dodo na omo ekasa fa ho because enche ne Burkina Faso kodi nkomo Burkina Faso omo ne France for nka as we speak now head then yes I try ho na all of a sudden yakopie ewo ho na President John Dramani Mahama kopie ho no ye ma no a very beautiful welcome by the military oto asuko hia the Senate of France. And you know, so on your screens you could see, say he's with the Senate of France. Oh, yeah, so only President Macron, and so Asia, ewo summit asia the 2026 One Health Summit ye ewo Lyon and so President John Dramani Mahama Kushia Hobia oni omo etwetwe nkomo na ni nyina echi no that the presidency of the Republic of Ghana edi enchiremu dodo na ebaye as to what really happened in France. President John Dramani Mahama edi epote no call France okokoye because na amount for dodo na ebisa say what is really going on into the presidency of Ghana edi enchiremu bebre ebaye ema yehu say omo enchiremu so on your screens Ghana presidency. President John Dramani Mahama today began his one-day official visit to Paris with a meeting with the president of the French Senate, Gerard Larcher. And he started the tour. First of all, tell him they can edit to Jano Okushia, the president of the French Senate, Gerard Larcher. He was welcomed with a military ceremony before the bilateral meeting, which discussed among others, trade and investments, regional security, and the fight against terrorism. France's support for maternal health and agriculture in Ghana, and the remarkable improvement to Ghana's economy under President Mahama. Concerning security in the region, the western part of Africa, the security. And how we will be able to protect ourselves, the country, protects the country against terrorism. Mr. Mahama and his delegation, which includes the Foreign Minister Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa, National Security Advisor Prosper Bani, Secretary to the President Dr. Callistus Mahama, Presidential Advisor and Special Aide Joyce Bawa Mokhtari, and Ghana's Ambassador to France, Mavis Frimpong, will later today hold talks with the French President Emmanuel Macron as the LEC president. And Omoka President John Dramani Mahama home ekopiemu ewo France eno ene yebobo omu edin ede ema mono se omu nyina aka President John Dramani Mahama ho bi ena omokoya omu ekopiemu ewo France. That is the update coming in from France. Medikadi tuja se owie ni nyina echi ena one President Macron eshia omo edi enkomo. We'll go and check out what really transpired between President John Dramani Mahama and President Emmanuel Macron. Their bilateral talks are omo edi etu chano. So on your screens you could see President John Dramani Mahama and Gerald, the Senate President of France, and omo ewo honum the updates coming in. A lot of people were also concerned with the fact that Ghana sharing borders with Burkina Faso, other countries are French-speaking countries. Most of them now and France for Cote d'Ivoire. We know say they are good with France, but then Burkina Faso in particular, there is no French embassy in Burkina Faso. All the troops that were in Burkina Faso, as at the time of President Ibrahim Traoré took over, we also know that President John Dramani Mahama, some way somehow, any President Ibrahim Traoré, as a omuya namfo kakra because inauguration kra or inviting money be PM ewo hobby. Intimate tamfo na sisi ewo ni na kofa damfo no. What are you trying to say? Enkoba se echine bi ebeti se France fonso so abe set up omu base ewo hanom a omu ebe start a launch attack on Burkina Faso. Is that what we are going to hear? But then the presidency omu report omu de buy, the security aspect of it is how they'll be able to fight terrorism in Africa here. So that is the update. If we the presidency, but President John Dramani Mahama, a visitor, or the Eco PMO France, no. That is the update. Yeah, but so